Hey everybody, you're listening to the disembodied hands of Walter from Greenbrier Games, and we're here to check out a production copy of Folklore, the Affliction in all its glory. This is a beast of a game. This is exactly how it'll show up on your doorstep, minus the cellophane I already took off. It's coming in at about £7, so if you're going to play a game night of Folklore, I really recommend you have your friends come to your place. Let's pop this lid open and see if we can get a good box part on this guy. Alright, not today, but first thing we notice when we open up Folklore the Affliction is this handy dandy how to put back the miniatures without hating yourself guide. This is something we kind of threw in at the last minute here, and it's to avoid hours of trying to put in these square pegs into round holes. I know it saved me countless time already. It was really a gift to ourselves that we put in. So over the top we have our 6 hero characters. We're all very, very pleased with how these guys came out, and they're in a slightly different color than all the monsters that you'll be facing. So for this, I forgot to mention, we're just going to be covering the core game, just the basic box of Folklore the Affliction. None of the awesome expansion stuff or additional components that you got in the deluxe or premier levels, such as the giant neoprene map of the whole world, the individual player mats, or the character sheets or things of that nature. Just what's going to come in the box. So, 35 miniatures in the game. Let's carefully pop this guy out here. We'll put these guys off to the side. So inside the box, you'll find a second box. Dun, dun, dun. This is going to hold all of the other components in the game, and this is exactly how it'll come out when you pick up your copy. Flip this guy over. So inside this second box of holding, we'll find all the paper components in the game, which conveniently are going to be kept in plastic bags. So everything is going to come in these little baggies for easy sorting. Here we've got non-paper components actually. We've got dice, standees for the terrain, and the cubes that come with the game. Let's set the scene here with the map of Cromel. This is where all your adventures in Folklore will be taking place. We've got the major cities and some other landmarks on here. What else we got in this beautiful box? The story journal. Again, this is just the story journal for the core game, clocking in at 52 pages of story. The expansion has another 90. So there's just a huge campaign with this game. Tons of content. I'm under strict orders not to show too much of the story booklet to give anything away, but it's very exciting. What else we got in here? Let's take a look at, okay, the first of several punch boards. Let's quick look at the tokens in the game, just some of them. One of my favorite things about Folklore is that all the tokens tell you what they do on the back. It's so brilliant, so easy. We'll be diving more into what these do in a demo video to follow. Let's just pull out the rest of these punch boards real quick. Take a quick peek at these guys. More of the same. Here we've got one that's got the afflictions and the terrain pieces. Now all our backers, this is where you're going to be replacing these tokens with the affliction minis and the terrain pack type pieces, but this is what the core game comes with to use. Let's see. Alright, getting into the meat of some stuff. Here we have the character booklets. You'll take these when you pick a character. In the demo that's going to follow, I'll be playing as the Archanis. And I'm thinking the Avenging Madman for this one. He's my kind of guy. So, looking at these character booklets, you've got a bio. You've got 2 focuses, which you'll choose when you create your character, which change your character's powers throughout the game, and also about how they'll level up. So on the back, here you've got their lore tree. Each time you reach a certain amount of lore, you'll be picking between one of 2 different power-ups and be getting some AP to spend on your abilities. Each character has location extras, things that only they can do when they're in towns, in addition to things that everyone can do in towns. And then we've got, for handy reference, their starting cards. Now, every card in the game is unique, so when you get your character, you should still pull out these abilities, because if I've got the stiletto, no one else can have the stiletto. But this is for quick reference, for setup. Character booklets. What else we got? Alright, here we go. large cards in the game. Quite a few of these. First up, we've got the characters. I'm going to keep out my Archanis and Avenging Madman to play in the demo. On the back of these guys, you'll see that they've got their ghost form. So if you have the ghost character pack, when your character is defeated, you'll actually replace their mini with the ghost of them in the game until you get revived, and you keep going. And we've got some of the monsters. Okay, so up at the top here, it seems like I got the terrifying creatures, which are distinguished by these red borders on them. They're just more challenging creatures to face. They've got their encounter side, which is when you're fighting them in terms of tactical miniature combat on the maps, which we'll show in a minute. And then they've got the skirmish side, which is abstract combat. Let's just take a peek through some of these guys. Really grisly stuff. And then we've got the regular creatures, not distinguished by their red borders. Instead, they just have the normal card. Quite a few of these. Here's one of my favorites, Dark Oak. As you can see, tons of these guys. And then the Afflictions. These are the big boss guys that you'll be fighting at big pivotal moments in the story. As I'm sure everyone's looking forward to their gigantic miniature of the colossal Dark Oak. I know I am looking forward to opening that bad boy. Here's some of the Afflictions that are in the core game. Last but not least, in the large card pack, we've got these reminder cards. So these are the town services. Whenever you're in one of the major cities, these are what you can perform, in addition to the things that only your character can perform in those locations. We've got an adventuring guide. So this is just a turn order for when you're on the adventure maps, and on the flip side of this, the turn order for when you're in the skirmish, which is the abstract combat. We've got an encounter guide, which also includes what happens when you die. And then this handy dandy status key. So this is positive statuses on one side, things that'll help you fight, and negative statuses, things that are going to be a huge bummer that you'll have to try to get rid of or resist. What else? Okay, here we've got these little tracker cards. So there are trackers for power points or ghost points if you're dead. Your Vita, which is your character's health. And that is true for both players and monsters. So the way these work is they sit on either side of your character card. And these do work with the additional components of the game, like the player mats. They sit right into everything. And this will keep track of your health and your power points as you're playing the game. Okay, event cards. There's two types of event cards. There's off-road events and on-road events. So as you're moving around this world map here, you'll be able to go as far as one of your characters stride, the leader for that turn. So that's either individual road segments or these large off-road pieces. So if you end a round of map travel on one of the road segments, you'll draw one of these road event cards, which are going to change based on whether it's day or night, which is a token that's going to flip throughout the game. Actually, here we have that guy right here. This is the leader token and keeps track of day and night. So you got day side and night side. So you'll have an event to deal with. Sometimes this will be a little fight. It could be a skirmish or an encounter. Sometimes it's just a choice. We've got tons of road events, and then there are off-road events. So if you end your turn off one of the road segments to deal with an off-road event, these are double-sided cards, so you keep a cover card on top of them so you don't see, and draw from the bottom of the deck. The leader will read the piece of flavor. They'll have one of two choices for the group to decide on, and then you flip it over and you see the outcome of those two choices. Similar to off-road events, they could end in any number of ways. Okay, and now the plethora of mini cards in the game. Pretty much anything that your character has assigned to them is going to be a mini card. Let's pull these big stacks out. Okay. And we'll cover a lot more about how these work in the demo video to follow. But first, we've got our ability cards. There's tons of these little guys. Ability cards. Artifacts. Just beautiful. Stephen Gibson really did an incredible job on these guys. Two kinds of companions. There are the animal companions. A couple different pets or steeds to keep with you. And then there are militia companions. Humanoid, oh, that's an item. Humanoids that follow you around to help out. And they range in different abilities. Some of them can help in combat, others just help with skill checks and challenges. And we've got a fat stack of item cards. I'll just give you the sideways here so you see there are just a buttload of items in this game. Some of which your characters start with, some of which you find, craft, loot, etc. Now we've got the last two types of mini cards. Oh, excuse me, three kinds of mini cards. First up, prayers. These are holy spells. If your character is blessed by the light, you can use these prayer cards. Some of them have combat effects, some of them outside of combat effects. Same with rituals, though on the opposite spectrum. Rituals deal with the dark, the blood, and the demonic. And then tarot cards. So if your character dies, it's going to become a ghost. If you die again as a ghost, there's a bit of an oxymoron there, die again as a ghost, you'll have to be revived from the void, in which case your character is going to come back with one of these permanent tarot cards, a permanent penalty. Those are the mini cards. Here we have the rule booklet. One moment. Rule booklet. Very proud of how this guy came out. It's 36 pages of a good read. However, it is broken down into everything you need to know just to start off, and then it stops. You go right into the story booklet. So one of my favorite things about this game is that the opening story is basically a tutorial that's going to teach you all the pieces of the game as you're playing. So you only need to learn a couple pages about the different pieces of a card before your group gets to jump right in. And last but not least, we have the adventure maps, which have been the subject of some debate recently. I'd like to show them off. These maps are stunningly beautiful. There are 20 different maps in the game, and they are pulled out for specific story moments. This one's one of my favorites, which will show you his setup, the challenge, the objectives, special things you can do as side pieces of it. And there are 10 of these double-sided maps in the core game, and some more in the expansionary content. So that's everything you're going to find in the box. Stay tuned, because I'm going to upload a demo video next for playing a special story, so you guys can see how some of this stuff works together. This is Walter from Greenbrier Games, here with our first demo video for Folklore, the Affliction. Today we'll be doing a bonus story. This is a promotional campaign. It's not part of either of the main campaigns. It is created using the Create Your Own Adventure Kit, which we're very excited for you guys to get into and make your own stories. As a solo player, I'll be playing as two characters in this adventure. I've chosen the Avenging Madman and the Archanis. All of their setup information is found here in their little booklets. We've got some backstory, which I'll summarize for you here. The Avenging Madman's family was killed by horrible monsters. Now he's going to avenge them. Pretty straightforward. We've got the Archanis, who found a couple torn pages of the Necronomicon, and now she's a little crazy, but very, very hungry for more secrets of the unknown. So when you pick a character, you're going to pick one of the character's two focuses. I have chosen, for the Archanis, the Seeker, which is going to give her a extra little ability that she can use, which we'll cover in a second. And for the Avenging Madman, I've chosen the Avenger path. So, one thing that I'm going to keep off camera for this video are the character record sheets. I'll also be keeping the campaign book itself off the camera. So you're just going to see what's going on with the physical components in the game here. So let's talk about the characters. The Avenging Madman has 23 Vita, so I set his little Vita tracker here to 23. And he starts with 5 power points. He then has attributes, which will help him in combat, skills, which will help him in his challenges, some keywords which relate directly to his starting abilities, which are found here in this little booklet. He's going to start with a bale hook, a one-handed weapon. the Environmental Slaughter ability, which is used in combat, and the Keep It Coming ability, also used in combat. These are activated abilities. We see they've got the active keyword. They can be used once per round in combat, and they cost 1 power point of his 5 in order to use these abilities. This symbol means they can be used at any time. So they can be reactionary to an opponent's attack or used on your turn. We have the Arcanist. She starts with the Stiletto, which is also a one-handed weapon, but with the keyword flank, which we'll cover when we get into combat. 2 additional abilities. The Seek the Chakra, which is going to help her do some extra melee damage. And Runic Dice, which is more of an out-of-combat type ability. Additionally, when you pick the Arcanist, you're going to start with 1 random ritual. I'll draw that ritual right now. See what we get. Starting with Oblivion. Create a nether void that sucks the life force from your enemies. That seems pretty great. All corporeal foes, so anything that's not ethereal, like a ghost, roll a d10. On an 8+, they are destroyed. Wow, flat out just destroyed. No awards can be earned from those slain by Oblivion, and it does not affect the big boss afflictions. But it's got an occult 10, which means I have to make a skill check of 10 in order to actually activate this ability when I want to use it. Fortunately, my Arcanist has an occult skill of 2, so when I go and roll for that skill check, in this case it would have been a fail because it was 5, plus or 2 equals 7, not enough to use the ability. So even if I attempt to use Oblivion, it might not always work. So in addition, my characters each start with 1 bandage. Very nice. Bandages, no surprises here. They're going to heal some hit points. Each character also has their attack and defense token, which we'll cover when we get into the skirmishes. These are used for the abstract combat. And then, because I chose the Seeker path on my Arcanist, she gets an additional token, which is for her aura. This is a special aura that only can be used if you chose the Seeker focus. It's going to have 2 forms. It's got the light side of the aura, which is a defensive thing. It's going to cause her to take less damage, and it extends to allies. Or darkness, which is going to radiate damage around her. So, pretty excited to use that in combat. Okay, I think that's everything we need to know right off the bat. So let's hop right into The Stolen Heart. This is a dusk level challenge, meaning it's one of the easier stories that you could do. It tells us that we begin here as a group in Eurotusk, and it's going to take about 90 minutes to do this. We're probably not going to do the whole campaign in this video, but we'll do enough so that you get a quick feel for everything that the game has to offer. So this story begins with a preface, a story introduction, that I will read to you now. The caravan trudged along the road at a leisurely pace, Spook pulling the wagon with her steady gait. Samuel was no stranger to life on the road, having been a member of the Traders Guild for nigh on 20 years, but his nerves were on edge. He heard the rumors. Hell, all the traders from here to Wayland Point had, but this opportunity was too good to pass up. Ostelink was short on supplies, dangerously so, and the guild was offering a double share of the normal profits due to everyone's unwillingness to brave the road of late, due to several disappearances. Samuel, lost in thought, didn't hear it at first, but Spook sure did. And, true to her name, she bolted, her strong black form dragging the wagon with her. Contrary to what Samuel's associates believed, Spook did not spook easily, which is one of the reasons he used her as his go-to transport animal. Samuel cursed and began to take chase after his cargo, but came to a full standstill at the sight before him. Color drained from his face in terror as he saw the doom come for him. Chapter 1. So each chapter begins with a skirmish table at several different points in the story, whether it be an event or if we choose to rest while adventuring, we're going to have to roll for a skirmish. In this case, we've got a 50-50 chance of either encountering highwaymen or some restless spirits. So I forgot to mention, I've never read this story. I have no idea what's going to happen, no idea what's going on, so we're going to discover this together. Pretty excited. Chapter 1. A Trader's Lament. Now we're back. That was past tense, now we're here in the present. You partake of a hearty meal and cold ale at the Golden Goat Inn as you await the arrival of a local Traders Guild representative who requested a meeting with you. Reflecting upon the recent calamities that have plagued Cromel, you worry over the rapid rise of danger threatening the land and signs that the veil to the world of spirits may be weakening. Even within the safety of the city, its inhabitants carry the air of anxiety about themselves. A balding, Well-dressed man hurries into the inn and nervously scans the crowd before meeting your gaze. Without hesitation, he hurries over, his concern immediately evident. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. I have an urgent matter that needs attention, and your reputation at solving problems within these parts is well known. We have received reports that several of our caravans carrying much-needed supplies to Ostelink have not arrived, well past their expected times. Winter is approaching, and Ostelink desperately needs these goods, and, more importantly, we are very worried about the whereabouts of our people. The roads have been so dangerous of late, but we take precautions to protect our traders against highwaymen. If you could investigate the situation, we will award your efforts well. I recommend traveling to Ostelink to question Lydia, one of our traders that did make it there safely. I was told she witnessed something strange during her travels. Perhaps the information she has can help you. So we've got our first objective here, the world map. Travel towards Ostelink, stopping after the group's first movement. Off-road movement is not allowed during this world map. So we have to stay on-road. Normally we could travel off-roads and pull off-road events. In this case, we have to stay on-road. And we're trying to get from Eurotusk to Ostelink. Not too far of a shot. The next part of the story will begin once we arrive in Ostelink. So, the Avenging Madman is going to start as the group leader with the leader token. He's going to start on the day side as opposed to the night side. And our group is going to be able to travel as far as his stride. In this case, both of my characters happen to have a stride of 4. So that's great. So each one of these road segments is going to cost 1 stride for us to move in this round of world map travel. So we can go 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to pull a road event. Road events have 2 parts, day or night. We're in day, so we'll read the day side here. Calamity. The flooding darkness overwhelmed the morale of the land's inhabitants, causing them to retreat to the safety of their homes. Town services are not available in any town until the start of their next chapter, except for the physician and gypsy encampment. Okay, so we're not going to be able to buy stuff, but that's probably alright, because my characters don't have any gold anyway to start off. But at least we can use the physician and the gypsy encampment, meaning if we start getting in trouble, getting our butts kicked, we can at least revive ourselves with the gypsies and heal at the physician. So, that was 1 round in its entirety. We traveled, we had an event. That event could have triggered a combat, either abstract or an encounter. And now it's the next character's turn. So we flip over to the night side. It is now the Archanis. So we're going to go, same, we have 4 stride with her as well. So we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 more spaces. In this case, we're flipping another road event card, but on the night side. Ooze. A slimy grayish ooze lays across the road along your path. All characters must pass Awareness 6 to avoid it. Otherwise, they'll gain a corrosion token. Anyone rolling a 1 for these checks become transformed. Really don't want to become transformed. Fortunately, my Arcanist here has a special ability, Resist the Change. You have created powerful wards against the dark magic afflicting the land. You can never become transformed. So at least she won't be able to become transformed, but no guarantees for the Avenging Madman. So we've got to pass an Awareness 6 challenge here. Normally, some characters would have skill in awareness that would cause us to be a little bit more likely to complete this roll. Neither one of these characters has an Awareness 6. Poor planning on my part here, but let's give it a shot. So, first we're rolling for the Avenging Madman. An 8. He's in the clear. No corrosion for him. Let's roll for the Arcanist. A 9. Whew. Okay, we're cool. No issues there. Next round. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just outside of Ostelink, so we've got 1 more event before. Let's take a peek on the day side. Shortcut. We were told of a shortcut that would speed our journey through the land. Keep this card and discard it on a future turn to avoid drawing a road event. Okay, great. So we get to keep this card. And the next time we're moving around, we're just going to get to skip 1 road event to get us there faster and avoid any possible calamities or ooze in our face. So, it's now the Arcanist turn, and we've made it safely to Ostelink and managed to avoid any sort of disaster or encounter on the way. Actually, this next event I'm reading in the story here happens before we make it to Ostelink. You progress towards Ostelink, anxious to speak with Lydia, the trader who delivered her caravan successfully. You catch sight of a torn bit of bleached canvas hanging from the trees not far off the road. Curious, you move to inspect it and find a large wagon hidden within the trees. The bit of canvas dangling from the branches looks to have come from the wagon's cover, which appears to have been ripped in several pieces, revealing an array of goods scattered about in disarray. It does not take long to realize that most of the contents are still present. However, the food supplies have been torn open and mostly devoured. At the head of the wagon lies a dead black pack horse. Oh no, Spook is dead. A dead black pack horse still tethered to the wagon, its legs raw with exposed flesh and several bite marks marring its smooth coat. There's no sign of the caravan's escort. Based on the condition of the horse and the contents of the wagon, it seems obvious that the caravan was subject to a wolf attack. However, on closer inspection, you realize that there are no wolf tracks on the road, just within the trees, and the trader's footprints are not among them. Perhaps something other than wolves caused this caravan to halt its progress. This is a choose your path moment, so now you have a choice. If only we were playing on Twitch where you guys could vote, but I'll make this choice. Choose your path. The caravan supplies are mostly intact and they are still needed within Ostelink. However, transporting it to our destination will be a time consuming without a pack animal. Choice 1. You decide to take the wagon with you to Ostelink. It would make our travel slower, so I messed up a little bit in this. We were supposed to have this story take place after our first night of travel. That's what it said in the rules here. Which would reduce our total getting there. It would reduce our stride by 1 until we reached our destination, or time is of the essence and you cannot afford to be slowed down by the burden of the wagon. Given that we didn't slow down, let's say we chose choice 2. Time is of the essence and you cannot afford to be slowed down by the burden of the wagon. Now we have a story skill check. It requires a nature or awareness. All characters can participate, but only 1 success is needed. So, okay. We're going to take that skill check die again. We are looking for a 7. And once again, neither of my characters have a useful skill. So let's start with the Avenging Madman. We need 1 7 among the two. A 0! Oh, it's a 10! That's great. We love 10s. Perfect. Success. You see what appears to be a trader's footprints head off the road in the opposite direction of the caravan. Any character who successfully made this check becomes perceptive. Skip to a missing trader. Alright. So, the Avenging Madman has become perceptive. That's something that I'm going to write down in my pad, my character record sheet. And now we skip to a missing trader, meaning there was a other path this story could have taken if we failed this check. A missing trader. You follow the tracks for over an hour, their visibility becoming clearer as your search progresses. Ahead of you, a solitary figure sits slumped on a large boulder amidst a sparsely wooded grove. You approach cautiously, calling out to the individual in concern. The man before you is thin and haggard, with several days of growth filling his sunken cheeks. Prolonged sun exposure and dehydration has blistered his forehead and left his lips chapped and peeling. The man is unresponsive as you urge him to attention, and just looks ahead as if you were not even present. Story skill check, speech 6. Okay, so we need to, any one character can attempt it, and they either fail or succeed. Let's give it to the Arcanist. She looks like she can talk her way out of this. A 1 is a failure. So, had we succeeded, we would have read story moment number 1 here, but instead, we're going to go find story number 0002. Okay. The man does not respond to your attempts to shake him out of his stupor. Suddenly, he looks up and lets out an anguished howl that freezes your soul. All characters become spooked 4. So, when you get a negative status, we have this handy little status guide here. Spooked. The resist test is nerve. So, spooked 4, meaning I have to pass a 4 or higher, and I won't get spooked. If I fail, I will get spooked. Fortunately, both of these characters have a bonus to nerve. The Avenging Madman has nerve +2. So I only need a 2 or higher. We got this. 10. Perfect. He avoided being spooked. The Arcanist needs a 3 or higher. She does. She succeeded. Okay. Had we been spooked, we would have received a -5 might and a -1 nerve. And the only way to get out of it would be to pass a nerve 5 check at the end of combat to shake off being spooked. So I would have stuck around for a while and made fighting a lot worse. So glad we avoided that. From behind you, a loud moan sends shivers down your spine. A barely visible form emerges from the shadows of tree cover, floating gently above the ground, its eyes purposeful, scan the area and settle upon you. They blaze with a hungry light as the spirit shrieks in anger and attacks. Skirmish! So this is abstract combat as opposed to on one of the maps. We are skirmishing with the relentless spirit with the skirmish counter at maximum. That's not good. So let's find that guy. Relentless spirit. We're on the skirmish side. So, with 2 characters, we would normally roll a d4 to determine the skirmish counter here. So it would have been a 2, meaning we would have only had to deal this guy 2 points of damage and we could have gotten out of this. However, the story told us that the skirmish counter is at maximum. So let me grab one of my little cubits. What did I do with those? Ah, jeez. 1 second. What a loser, didn't have his cubits ready. Alright, so skirmish counter is at maximum. So he's going to deal +1 damage when he hits us, and he's going to have +5 might, meaning it's more likely that he will in fact hit us. So we've been given an alternate rule for this skirmish. Instead of attacking, any character may attempt to pacify the spirit during their turn by performing the skill check below. Had we earned a green story marker, which we could have done had the path forked, we would have also received +5 might and +5 defense during the skirmish. So we did something wrong. Okay, pacifying the spirit. During our turn, our character could try to pass a faith 7. Neither one of our characters have bonus faith, so it's going to be a little tricky. But if we succeed, we pacify the spirit and reduce the skirmish counter by 2. Ooh, but if we fail, we're going to become cursed, and we'd have to roll to avoid being cursed. So, that's a tough one. Let's look at this skirmish here. Skirmish power. If the total attack roll of the Relentless Spirit is 80 or more, it's going to automatically cause us to lose 1d6 Vita. Otherwise, we're going to lose 1d4 Vita. So that's when it attacks. So to attack, this goes for both us attacking it and it attacking us. We're going to roll 2 dice. These are percentile dice. We've got a D100, which is the double digits piece here, and then we've got a D10, which is the single digits. So just an example roll here. This roll would be a 35. If we were rolling for the creature, we would add the creature's might. First we look to see the difficulty modifier for the story. In this case it's 0 because we're doing a desk challenge rating here. But it gets +5 might because the skirmish counter is all the way up right now. So if this were its attack roll, it would have an attack of 40, and it would attack both of our characters. In the skirmish, everybody gets attacked at the same time. So, when the round starts, our character is going to choose whether they're attacking or they're defending. In this case, I'm going to have both my guys attack. We're trying to get them. So, when you're attacking, you have no penalties or no bonuses. When you're defending, you still get to attack on your turn, but you're going to get +10 defense and -10 might. So if you choose to defend, it'll be less likely that you'll take damage, but also less likely that you'll be able to deal damage. So that's the trade-off there. So looking at my guy's abilities, the Avenging Madman's Keep It Coming gets to ignore 1d4 damage from an attack, but it doesn't work during a skirmish, it says. It's Environmental Slaughter. When an adjacent corporeal foe dies, so that doesn't work during a skirmish either. So those are 2 things that only help him in an encounter. So all he's got for his back here is the Bale Hook. But the Arcanist can deal additional damage if she makes a successful hit. And she's got the Runic Dice to allow us to draw better items. And unfortunately, Oblivion, her ritual only works on corporeal foes. The Relentless Spirit is not. So, we're just going to take this thing down old school. Let's do it. So my guys are both in attack. We're going to get this attack first. First, the Avenging Madman is going to attempt. So he rolls an 87. Oh, that's definitely going to do it. We don't even have to bother counting, but if we needed it, we'd have +5 might from the Bale Hook and +5 might from his ability. All of this way over the Restless Spirit's defense of 42. So it was a successful attack with the Bale Hook, which is going to be 1d4 damage plus 1 to whatever we roll here. That's just what it says on the hook. So we rolled a 1. Of course we did. But it's +1. So every point of damage is going to reduce this skirmish counter by 2. So now that we're here, he doesn't deal as much damage, but he does have higher defense now as he's getting a little lower. Okay, it's the Archanis turn. Give this a shot. She did not roll so hot. She rolled a 28, plus she's got 4 might due to her stiletto, and 3 might for power, nowhere near enough. So she fails her attack against the Restless Spirit, and now the Restless Spirit is going to get a chance to attack back at us. If it's 80 plus, his special power is going to happen. Fortunately, it's a 24. We're looking at his modifiers here. He's got +5 in might. So he only has a 29. Defense of 39, defense of 37. My guys are in the clear. No damage taken. Let's give this another round. I'm going to stay in attack because we're just trying to burn this sucker down. Oof, a 12. No amount of abilities is going to help me with a 12. The Arcanist. A 90. That's going to do it. So, her stiletto is going to deal 1d4 damage. And we're going to use Seek the Chakra on this. So we're going to pay one of her power points, which is a 4, meaning that she's going to do an additional +2 damage with this. So whatever we roll, +2 on this 1d4 is a 2 + 2 is 4. So we brought this guy down from 6 to 2. And now that we're at 2 on the skirmish counter, he has no more modifiers. So he's just a regular old Restless Spirit who's going to try to give us an attack. So let's see what he does. Ah, geez. 84. Which is enough to trigger his skirmish power that all characters are going to lose 1d6 health. So anywhere between 1 and 6 health. First, the Avenging Madman is going to lose 3 of his health. Or Vita, excuse me. He's down from 23 to 20. And the Arcanist. Oof, a full 6. And she only starts with 21. So she's down to 15. Dang, she got rocked. Probably going to need to eat that bandage soon. Okay, so it's back to us. Really don't want to take another hit. Really don't want to become a ghost this early in the story. So, let's give it a shot. Avenging Madman, you're up. What can you do? An 86, that'll cover it. So, he's going to deal 2 + 3, bam, enough to totally take down the Restless Spirit. So, upon defeating the Restless Spirit, we're going to gain the rewards listed here. In this case, just 6 coins. If it gave us lore, it would tell us. Lore being what we would spend in order to level up our characters later on. So, 6 coins. Boop. Written in my character sheet here. And the Restless Spirit is gone. So, that crazy guy who was staring at us like a weirdo before the ghost attacked, it says, "Attention! You must escort the traitor to Ostelink. The current leader must take him as a mission companion." And the current leader left over here is the Arcanist, so she's going to gain this big old weirdo. If both the companion slots are filled, they must discard one to accompany the traitor. Okay, we do not have to do that, but we will gain the yellow story marker. Let me punch this out of the board here. So, the Arcanist has earned the yellow story marker, which I'm sure will come into play at some point, changing up what would happen to us, or happen to her at the very least. So, world map, travel to Ostelink. Bam. We made it there. Continue to unfulfilled answers. So, I noticed that had we gone a different route in the story, we would have missed all of that, not gotten the yellow story marker, and jumped right to here. So let's see what happens. You arrive in Ostelink, weary from your stressful trek westward. Now that you have reached the safety of the town, It is time to find out what you can from the trader, Lydia. You decide to begin your search at the local Traders Guild. If you have the yellow story marker, read story moment, blah blah blah. If you have the red story marker, read... Okay, so we're going to read the yellow story marker moment right here. The trader you found during your travels remains unresponsive, but when asked his name, he mutters, Samuel. The guild is relieved to see that Samuel is alive and immediately sends for a physician. After some time, he regains his senses, but has no recollection of the events prior to him leaving Eurotusk. In thanks, he offers to accompany you, hoping to help you get to the bottom of the mystery. The character with the yellow story marker gains the Townsman companion. Return the yellow story marker to the game box. Well, great. We fixed him up, so now we're going to get him as a companion. He is a Townsman. Of course he is. There he is. He's kind of cute. Perfect. So, now the Arcanist has just a passive, plus awareness, and +1 speech. But he's also a melee companion, so he will be able to help when we're in fighting. You find Lydia speaking in hushed whispers with several of her fellow traders. Her friends listen with their brows furrowed in concern over whatever tales she is imparting. When you approach, the group falls silent and eyes you suspiciously. You explain your business and ask Lydia for any details she can share regarding her recent travels. I reached here unmolested, but by the stars, I say I was lucky, especially with the others going missing and all. It was approaching twilight, and I had only a few more hours to Astelink, but the day had been so long, so I thought I would break for the night and continue at daybreak. I set up camp, and I was eating my evening fare. I heard the most horrific scream of my life. It was unnatural, not from any man, woman, or animal that I know of, and it did not stop, but closer it came. I was all but frozen in terror, but when I saw it, nothing could have stopped me from running. I can't say what I saw exactly, but I thought at the time that it was some sort of spirit, something that seemed to suck the light from the stars themselves. I ran for a while, but sometime after the eerie scream stopped, I doubled back, not wanting to lose my payday by leaving my cargo behind. There was no sign of that thing, but I decided right quick that after a few hours more travel would be fine by me. Could spirits truly be at work here? You have been concerned about the state of the Vale in these parts. Perhaps its fragile condition is causing the dead to haunt the area. The closest burial ground of any substantial size is Goron's tomb. It might be worth investigating. Use town services now. Okay, so we have an opportunity to use some town services, but if you remember, we had Calamity take place, which says town service are not available in any town until the start of the next chapter, except for the physician and gypsy encampment. So, because the Arcanist took a little damage, we might as well visit the physician. So we look at our town services reference card here. There's several things that you can pay money for at the physician. We could buy bandages. We get another set of bandages for 5 coins, which here's 4 Vita. Or we could get some stitches, which for 1 coin restores 1 Vita for every coin spent. So better math on the stitches, but we could keep the bandages with us for later if we were at full health. Let's use the stitches now. We have 6 coins, and she can hold 6 more hit points to get up to her max of 21. So we'll spend them all. We'll spend all our coins, bringing her back to full health. Marking off that my coins are gone. That's all the town services that we can do or have money for. So, now we're trying to get to Goron Tombs. Not far. 6 spaces away, so about 2 days of road events. 2 road events, or it would be 2 off-road events. We haven't done any off-road events yet, so... Oh, no, we don't have to stay on the path anymore. Okay, yeah, let's do off-road events. It'll be great. What could go wrong traveling off-road? Okay, so... First off-road event. Let's see what we got. Night lights. As we traveled at night, we saw several white lights bobbing slowly in the air ahead. We had to make a choice. Choice 1, investigate the source of the light. Choice 2, hide in the darkness. It's safer than pursuing the unknown. Screw that. Lights are never bad, right? Right, team? Lights are never bad? Great. We made choice 1. Pursuing the lights, we entered a small wooden glade. Within were tiny will-o-wisps dancing in midair. They surrounded us and began to glow brighter. Roll a d6. So it shall be a 6. That seems good. It's not good. Just so you guys know, it's not good. 6. The lights belong to the glowing spirits of the dead. Skirmish with another restless spirit. Well, alright. We know how these guys work. We've all seen them. This time they're not at max though, so they're going to be a lot faster. We just have 1d4 worth of power because there's only 2 characters. But of course I rolled a 4 because I'm like that. So we know the deal with these guys. We know that we can't use magic on them really. We don't really have the tools right now. So we're just going to try to beat these ghosts up old school. Here we go. For the Avenging Madman, a 92. Of course he did. What a champ. And a d4 is worth of damage. Plus 1 is 3. Plus 1 is 4. Bam. 1 shot. No problem. Restless Spirit's dead. We are awesome. Same deal. We got 6 gold. And that's how quick that fights really can be in this game. And that's what I really enjoy, is that those skirmishes, sure, sometimes they're very challenging and grueling, but for the most part, they're really quick. They're a quick couple tests with some awesome mechanics in them. So, that was 1. It is now the Arcanist's turn as the leader. I'm going to pop her over and have another off-road event. So, but I didn't explain this. Stride. When you're on road, you can move as many spaces as your characters have stride. When you're going off-road, doesn't matter how much stride you have. 1 space on the map here is all you can go. So we drew Outrage. A plume of smoke rose from a burning village in the distance. From the same direction, a caravan of wagons approached. The desperate villagers were burned, some close to death. An aged man stepped forward and bellowed, "You are supposed to be helping us, but instead, you wanted about wasting time. You are failing us." We had to make a choice. Choice 1, explain you wanted to help and ask the man what happened. Choice 2, tell the man it's foolish to make one's home in the unprotected countryside and that you will escort him and his injured immediately to nearest town. Well, we're not going to escort anyone anywhere. So, let's see what we can do to help. Choice 1. You tried to explain that you were working to find the cause of what was afflicting the land and destroy whatever evil was at fault. One character must pass a speech 8. Well, the Archanis now has her Townsman companion, which is going to give her a +1 to speech. So let's see if we can get a 7 or higher here. We failed. Had we succeeded, we would have been respected and it would have been awesome, but instead we failed. They blame you for the destruction of their home and they attack. Skirmish with an angry mob with +2 on the skirmish counter. Okay. So, similar situation, but instead of fighting ghosts, we're fighting the angry mob. Now, I have only ever actually fought these guys in their encounter form, and they're a huge pain in the butt. Let's see how they are in skirmish form. So, 1d4 to see how strong they are. They're a 3, but because of this particular off-road event, they have +2, so they're going to have a skirmish counter at 5, meaning they're going to deal +1 damage if they hit us. They have a defense of 42, same as the other guy. And skirmish power. If they hit us, we're going to lose 1d4 Vita. If the total attack roll is 80 or more, then the skirmish counter is going to go back up 1. Up to the maximum number of characters. Okay, so if it goes back up, it can't go above our 4, because that's the most that it could have been. But if they're at 2 and they go back up, not only are they going to be dealing more damage again, but they're going to have basically an extra life. So, let's take these guys down. We know the drill. Though this time, we can use some stuff, but still not a lot of our stuff. Because we're in the skirmish, the abstract, most of the things that we started with happen to pertain to the encounter, which we'll get to before the end of this video. So, Avenging Madman. Start it up. He rolled a 39, we're getting close, plus his 5 might, so he's at a 44, plus his other 5 might, plenty enough to get past this guy's defense. So he succeeded. No whammies. Let's get another 1 shot. If we roll a 4, we 1-shotted this jerk. We didn't, but we did pretty good, because he got a 3 plus 1 is 4, so this guy's down to 1. I'm willing to bet that our number 1 homie, the Arcanist, can handle this. Come on, girl! She rolled a 53! That's gonna do it. So, impossible for her to fail. Bam. Woohoo! We handled that angry mob. So, for this again, we got 6 gold. We're up to 12. Excellent. So, note that if we had defeated this guy in the encounter side of this whole thing, we would have gotten some lore for it as well. Okay. And with our last move, it's the Avenging Madman's turn on the day side. We're now here at the Goran's tomb, which tells us to jump to the unwelcome greetings part of the story. Okay, unwelcome greetings. Clouds heavily blanket the darkening sky with night's approach. The slow drizzle that has persisted over the last several hours have turned you and your belongings into a sodden mess. You experience a sense of unease as you survey your surroundings, as if there is something waiting to jump at you from behind a gravestone or crumbling statue. Not sure where to begin your search of the massive burial ground, you decide it would be a good idea to look around for clues. Story skill check, awareness 8, all characters, we only need 1 success. She now, again, thanks to our awesome Townsman, has +1 awareness, so she only needs a 7, but everyone gets a try. So let's see if we can get an 8 on our Avenging Madman. We got a 9! You guys are my witness. We're amazing. We got a 9, so you search the darkening graveyard for clues that will lead you to the source of whatever is causing the spirits of the area to become restless. Jump to story moment 6. So we jump down. You listen carefully for the traditional sounds of moaning that usually accompany the restless dead, but all you hear is the low howl of the wind rushing past the many headstones. But then your ear catches something out of place, an angry muttering that sounds too visceral for something of supernatural origins. You follow the sound a short way before discovering the source. All characters who made the awareness skill check out, so she gets to make the check too, because they could both succeed. She does succeed as well. Okay, awesome. Who made the awareness skill check receive 15 lore. Okay, so I'm going to note in my character sheet here that they both have 15 lore. For reference, the first power-up that we can buy later on costs 100 lore. Or cost. This lore is, you don't spend lore, you just reach checkpoints on it. So we need to get to 100 before we make our first choice. Okay. Coming back up. To your surprise, you discover an old man with wisps of graying hair barely covering a mostly bald head. A large hound lies lazily at his feet, clearly miserable in the cold rain. The dog notices your approach well before the man, giving a menacing warning growl. The old man, who is busily shoveling a pile of loose soil into a grave while cursing all the while, looks up in an angry state. More gravediggers come to undo my work? Well, I'll have none of that. It's time I teach you robbers a lesson. The Undertaker's hound rises to its feet with a snarl and is now foaming at the mouth, awaiting permission to attack. Story skill check. Can you convince... Speech 7. Only the leader can do it. Can you convince the Undertaker that your intentions are pure and you had no part in the recent grave robbing? Well, it helps. Give her a shot with her +1. Alright, that'll do it. Story moment 10. You carefully articulate the purpose of your search of Goran's tomb, explaining that a supernatural threat is stirring here. His anger gradually diminishes, but his eyes are still as hard as diamonds. His hound, sensing that hostilities are unlikely to occur, settles back down to rest at his master's feet, gain 8 lore, and become respected. Alright. The respected status. Let's look at our little... If we are respected, you've proven your willingness to stand up for the downtrodden in this land. Gain 1 speech and +1 trickery. Seems good. So she's got 8 lore now, putting her up to 23. And she now has an additional +1 speech. So she's a total of +2 speech thanks to her companion. And this +1 trickery. All of this is being noted in a little character pad. And now we're back up. With tensions now eased, the old Undertaker tells you of the rash of grave robberies that have plagued Goran's tomb over the past couple weeks. Every night, a half-dozen graves get dug up, the treasured possessions kept with their dead stolen. And more recently, several of the larger tombs have been broken into. Not even finished repairing the damage to the grounds, let alone what mischief they are up to now. And that they are here at least to chase them off, but I could not keep up with these old legs. Do me a favor and get them for me. Teach them a lesson in manners. Unpleasantly. If I was any sort of fortune teller, I would wager on them being what you need to find anyhow. And you continue on to the tomb hunt. So this could have gone a different way, but here we are. Let's go into the tomb hunt. You follow the directions the Undertaker gives you, the grave robbers' suspected location, where the ancient tombs of the criminals' ancestry lie in slumber. Sure enough, it does not take you long to discover recent tracks of a half-dozen individuals leading up to a large tomb entrance. The door has been forcibly opened, the old rusty lock twisted almost in half. It is beyond dark inside, with the smell of decay heavy in the air. The darkness almost seems to push out of the door, causing your skin to crawl with tension. Nerve 6. All characters have to pass this test of nerve. Fortunately, both our guys have bonus nerve. If we succeed, we'll become brave. If we fail, we'll become spooked. We really want to be brave. So, for the Avenging Madman first, he'll only need a 4 thanks to his +2 nerve. Here we go! Success! So he becomes brave. I'm going to write this down, that he is now brave, meaning he has +1 nerve and +1 damage. Now let's give the Arcanist her shot. She will need a 5 or higher. She only has +1 nerve. She got a 10. Great. She's also going to get +1 nerve, +1 damage. That's really going to come in handy. Deeper and deeper you go into the heart of the tomb. A thick layer of dust coats every surface, but a clear sign of human footprints can be seen, leading you forward. You ignore the intricate twists, turns, and intersections of the place, guided by your unwitting prey. Your dogged pace slows as you enter a large room containing rows of coffins. Moving forward towards the far exit, a guttural snarl echoes around you. Barely visible in the darkness, figures lurch towards you, hunger gleaming in eyes that penetrate the blackness. Skirmish with the decaying dead and a flesh-eating ghoul. For this fight, the leader may decide to have the group flee from the skirmish at any time. However, no awards will be given if you do. We are definitely going to flee, because fighting 2 guys sounds like it's going to kick our butts, and you guys have seen a couple skirmishes, and I want to move on to an encounter fight. So we're going to flee, so we're not going to deal with them, meaning the story's going to fork a little bit, because we're not getting some rewards. So it's the end of the chapter. So we're going to move on to chapter 2, because I'm seeing here at the beginning of chapter 2 is an encounter fight. So let's do that. Carrying on. Chapter 2, we have a new skirmish table. We now have 50-50 while we're down here of fighting banshees or poltergeist. This is if we were to rest, or if an event would cause us to roll on the skirmish table. So, Spirit's Vengeance. It is not long before your hunt is at an end. You emerge into a black-sooted crematorium, the temperature hot from the burning furnaces which fill most of the room. The highwaymen you have been hunting are locked in combat with translucent beings who fade in and out of reality. With shrieks of fury, they tear into their mortal victims. Several of the grave robbers already lie dead on the floor, the life drained from their bodies. Before you can act, the grave robbers are able to dispatch the last of the wailing spirits. Panting heavily, the leader of the men before you says, "Looks like we have more company. Finally, a mortal enemy to fight. We do not intend to share our bounty, so this can only end one way, drawing swords. The remaining highwaymen attack." So, we'll be setting up our tomb. Just finding this map tile. Here they are. So we'll set this up in the center of the area here. We've got a couple things. We've got some dead bodies that are on the ground. We've got some search tokens. I'm setting this up according to the graphic that is in the book. We've got skill check dice. So if we were to come to these, we can make a skill check, which I'll explain in a moment. Let's get those dead bodies out. punching out these tokens as we go here. Dead body. Dead body. Oh, I need a third dead body. This is technically here, and that's technically here. Okay, so we got dead bodies. Now we've got some highwaymen. Looks like this is drawing on miniatures from the expansion. So like I said, this is a story that's not in the base game. So I'm going to use some substitutes from the miniatures from our highwaymen, because I only brought the base game to this video. We've got Highwayman number 1, Highwayman number 2, and Highwayman number 3. So here's where they are. It says that our characters can start in any of these 4 spaces, so we're going to start them both face up at the front here. We've got some primary goals. Defeat all foes, which we'll see in a second. And immediately after combat, we'll read the after the fight. So optional goals: search these search locations, search the dead bodies, and try out these skill checks. So there's a large red button on each of the ceremonial furnaces here. What does it do? Any character may press the button by spending their turn and then read story moment 3, which will cause us to roll the die. So we're encountering 3 highwaymen. So let's get this set up here. We got our highwayman card. And when fighting multiple foes, we're going to use these trackers around the different eras. So we've got 3 highwaymen. Because there's 2 of us, each highwayman has 16 hit points. So we'll set each of these foe health trackers to 16. Let's see what we need. There. Top tracker set at the top guy is going to be number 1, number 2, and number 3. So first we roll to see which side is going to go first. Our side rolled a 2, not looking well. Their side rolled a 5, so they're going to go. This guy sees the Avenging Madman and has a stride of 4. They all have a stride of 4 because they're all the same characters. So they're going to move 4 spaces towards me, diagonals included, and this could take the shortest route possible. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Not quite there, but not looking great. This guy is going to do the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he makes it in range to the Archanis, and he's going to take his attack. So just like the skirmish, we're going to roll 2 dice. He got a 14. Pretty sure no amount of his abilities are going to help him. Which is good, because his abilities are mean. Okay, so he does not successfully attack us. So it's now our turn. We're going to start with the Arcanist. Because I'm solo player here, I can activate these guys in whatever order I choose. We're going to do Arcanist, and we're going to turn on her Darkness aura, which means at the end of my turn, any creature that's in range 1 of me, so on an adjacent space, is going to take 1 damage. So I'm going to just move her right up. First action is to move. So on your turn, you can perform a number of actions. You can move, use abilities, make attack, search locations. All of these you can do once per turn. So I moved her in, and you can do them in any order. You can attack, then move, etc. So I'm moving in. I'm now adjacent to both of these guys, so they're going to get burned by my Darkness aura at the end, which is great. And I'm going to make an attack against this front runner here. So I rolled a 25. Not too great. I have a might of +9 plus 2. So 25 plus 11 is 36, not enough to get past their defenses. Okay, so her attack was a fail, but her turn's not over yet. I don't know about you guys, but I am hungry to see Oblivion wreck some faces. So let's give Oblivion a shot. It requires me to be able to roll an occult 10. Luckily, I have +2 in occult, so I'll need an 8 or higher for this to work. And just because it works right off the bat doesn't mean it's going to succeed on each of them, but it means the ritual itself will take place. So here we go. A 3. No dice on this turn. Hopefully next time. Because she's in trouble. She's going to get surrounded. Avenging Madman, now's your time to shine. Let's get it. We're going to move him. His stride of 4. 1, 2, 3. Right in here. So he's also going to be engaged with both of these guys. And he's going to make an attack on this far guy here. He got an 85. That's definitely going to get past their defenses. He's going to be doing a D4's worth of damage. +1. So we got a 4 or 5. Excellent. So he brought this top guy down from 16 to 11. Okay, but now it's our opponent's turn. We're pretty locked in with these guys here in melee. This guy, who's adjacent to both of us, is going to roll to see which one of you targets. So when you're targeting, depending on the number of players, you use a different die. When you're only playing with 2 players, you use a D4. On a 1 through 2, it's going to be the leader. On a 3 through 4, it's going to be the other character. So let's see which one he targets. On a 1, so he's targeting the Avenging Madman. Both of these guys are going to be hitting the Avenging Madman, and just this Highwayman is going to be hitting our Archanis. So each of them rolls separately. First, we roll for the top guy. He rolled a 40. No, that's a 10. He rolled an even 50, which is going to get him past my defense. So the number die here that he rolled coordinates the different power of his ability. So the 50 check was to see if he got through my defenses, which he did. Gonna ignore 1d4 damage from an attack. So now we roll this die. So we were getting hit by 4, but then we blocked 4, so we're good. We're staying at 19. So this Highwayman's turn. He's going to do the same, attacking the Avenging Madman. He rolled a 67. That's also going to get him past our defenses. And with a 7, it's the same. It's coordinated strike. Man, these guys are mean together. Better Oblivion, these jerks, next turn. So he rolled a 3. He's going to go from 19 to 16. And now the other guy is going to get his Intimidating Glare on the poor Arcanist automatically. So the Arcanist is going to take a d4 damage. 2 in this case. She's down to 19. She was at 21. And she's going to become spooked 5. So I just want to check and make sure bravery doesn't really help us being spooked. Well, it does in that it's a nerve roll. So she's got a total of +2 nerve, +3 nerve total. So we only need a 2 or higher to beat this. We got it. We're not getting spooked. 2 or higher. Bam. You guys are my witness. Problem solved. Okay, now it's the last Highwayman's turn. He rolled a 65. That's also going to get it. And a 5 is another Intimidating Glare. So he's going for it. He hit her with a 1. Thank the Dark Lord. We're down to 18 here. And we got to roll for that spook again. So same deal. We just need a 2 or higher to not get spooked. Perfect. Okay. It's our turn. Oh, at the end of her turn, these guys each took damage. That's right. So they're down to 15 and 15. So now that these guys are adjacent on the start of her turn, we chose the Avenger power for the Avenging Madman. All other characters who are fighting the same foe as he is get +1 damage to their melee attacks. So that means when we both turn and gang up on this guy, she's going to deal +1 damage if she hits him. So let's try to eliminate one of these guys. We can do it. So Avenging Madman's going to go first. He got a 37. Oh, we're down to the wire here. Plus his 11 might. That's enough to get us in there. So he's going to make an attack. His attack is going to deal 1d4 damage. 3 plus 1. That's going to deal this poor clown 4 damage, bringing him to 11. Okay, it's Archanis time. Archanis has a stiletto flank, which does a very similar thing. So we're stacking some useful abilities here. Now that she is adjacent to this guy, because she's got another ally in the fight, she's going to get a flanking bonus of 1 against this guy. So she's dealing +1, +2 damage now thanks to these stacking abilities and the passive 1 that her Darkness Sword is going to do. So she's a beast. Let's get it. With a 60, that's going to do it. So she's going to get her 1d4 +2. 4 plus 2 is 6. Beautiful. Bringing this guy down to 5. We're going to roll for Oblivion again. We're crazy. This time we did succeed on activating Oblivion. So all corporeal foes roll a d10. On an 8+, they're straight up destroyed. So this guy first. You're done, sucker. Bam! 8+, he's gone. We're not going to get any rewards for killing him because we murdered him with dark magic, but it's good enough for me. This clown. Oh, you're so done too. Here we go. Forward, he's still in it. We got a 10. Boom! Straight up, Oblivion is awesome. Murdered this fool. Very cool, but that does cost me power points to use. Okay. At the end of our turn, it's now this guy's turn again. He's going to go, he rolls for targeting because he's between the two of us once more. A 2 is the Avenging Madman. He's really got it out for that guy. 56, that's a successful attack with a 6 Intimidating Glare. Hooah! A 3 damage to our Madman, plus Madman's going to have to roll to get out of being spooked. He's down to, it was from 15 to 12. Let's get him not spooked. Fortunately, he has +3 nerve as well. He's not spooked. Okay, cool. Excellent. So it's our turns again. This guy lost 1 other point for being next to Darkness Sword, so he's only got 4 hit points. So pretty sure we can take him out this turn, and I feel like any rational person would go press that shiny red button. So I'm going to have her do that. Let's check out the button. So when we go do it, we're going to spend our whole turn to do it. We roll this die. We got a 1. That's probably not good. We're going to check out what that story moment says regarding this button. When you press the button, the furnaces begin to glow, begin to whine. It does not take long for the fires within to become white hot. The temperature surrounding the monstrous oven becomes unbearable. Roll the d10. Oh, okay, but I did. I got a 1. On a roll of 6 or higher, the furnace ejects 2 flame tokens into random spaces with the green highlighted area, so that was shown on the map here. For the remainder of combat, all squares adjacent to the furnace cause 1 damage to anyone occupying them. Use red dice for the map. So, probably shouldn't have done that. Lesson learned, don't press red buttons when you're in a dungeon. She's adjacent to one of them. She's going to take a damage at the end of her turn, like a sucker. Okay, Avenging Madman, finish off that highway clown. Ready? Bad news, guys, he's not finishing off that highway clown. I know you were really rooting for it. No good. Okay, so, highway clown's turn. Now he just has the Avenging Madman to attack. He got a 74. 4 is another Intimidating Glare. Alright, we're going to use a power point down to 3 to see what we can block. Keep it coming. 2 of those 4 points get blocked. So he's down to 10. Not good. And now we're going to roll to see if he gets spooked. He does not get spooked. That's great. It's back to us. We're going to kick this guy's butt. We're going to run her over and have her take a turn first. She gets the bonuses when they're all together like that. In retrospect, we should have just done that before and not pressed buttons like an idiot, but here we go. We rolled an 80, a 90. That's going to definitely do it. So she's going to attack with her D4 damage, which is a 1, plus her bonus from flanking, plus her bonus from being next to this guy with his Avenger ability. So she's dealing a total of 3 damage, bringing him from 4 to 1, and darkness at the end of the turn. That thing's going to die for sure. But might as well let our Avenging Madman do it up. He has an 83. That's perfect. He's able to, he's able to kill the guy. And note that had we not just blown everyone up with successful Oblivion rolls like champs, environmental slaughter would have allowed us to do extra damage to guys as they popped off. But we didn't even have to worry about that because we're amazing. Okay, so successfully completed this challenge. We didn't loot any of the bodies, but if the button was any indicator, it probably wouldn't have gone so great. So after the fight, when the grave robbers thoroughly trounced, you sigh in relief. You approach the leader of these men, whom you kept alive for questioning. He sits dejectedly on the ground, nursing his many wounds. You reprimand him for his crimes, but knowing that his evils are shadowed by a greater threat, ask him of his goings-on over the last week. He explains that 5 days past, he stumbled upon a ruin in the middle of the Goran tombs. Within the decrepit structure, he found a gleaming silver pendant of obvious value. When he took it, he felt the ground tremor and the sky darken. He did not think much of it at the time. So pleased as he was with his find, but ever since, he and his crew have been plagued by the dead. It began as an inconvenience, but it's now turned into a deadly affair. He shows you the artifact he found, a silver-wrought heart talisman, inscribed with prayers by its owner's beloved. You can feel power in the necklace just by the slight touch. When this artifact of love and power was taken from its resting place, it must have angered a powerful spirit, who have sent the dead throughout the countryside in search for it. Although these men should be arrested for their crimes, you let them go, but not before threatening them harsh retribution if they should ever return to their banditry. You must return this heart to its resting place and hope that it appeases the angered entity. Continue on to Heart's Homecoming. So, we're going to stop the video there. Those are the basic functions of the game. Now, a couple things got wonked up. I didn't bother explaining while we were doing it before, but I was actually playing with the wrong map for this particular encounter. This story is designed to use components from all the different games, so I actually had the wrong map for it because that's only in the second edition, but I didn't, the Dark Tales expansion, but I didn't know that when we were starting the video, so we just made do with what we got here. So, we covered all the basic pieces of the game. There is a lot more. There's a lot more depth as you start getting into fighting multiple different types of units at a time. When you get more complicated abilities in the mix. We were lucky enough to draw a very powerful Oblivion throughout the game, which really helped us in that last fight. Obviously, it trounced some guys that would have taken a lot longer, but it did sap us of our power points, so it's not a totally reusable thing that we have there. I also felt like these guys had some great synergy together, and overall, I'm very pleased with how my team worked out. We've got a little lore in our belt, we've got some gold, so as the story would continue, we would continue to specialize these characters, level them up, move through this story, and then on to the future campaigns where we would fight harder and harder challenges and puzzles in the story. So, that was a brief taste of Folklore the Affliction. I hope you guys had some fun. Can't wait to get you this game. Stay tuned for more updates.